Welcome to the Student Sector Spotlight podcast, brought to you by the Humber Outreach Programme.
I've got the wonderful Allison from the Swift group with me today, so thanks so much for joining me. So what's your background and how has your pathway progressed to being part of Swift and what your role is?
I'm currently the Learning and Development Manager at Swift. I've had a very varied career. I actually started off in fast food. I actually worked for Burger King for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is just madness really now when I think back to that. And then from there, I left that job role and ended up working for CARECOM, and I was working within the call centre. I then applied to be seconded into the training team, and then did about 2 years with the training team. Left there, then went on to some other roles, but it was actually working for CARECOM that got me started, if you like, in the learning and development training field. I ended up back in training in food manufacturing, so I went to work for a meat processor called Caravan, and I was there for 5 years managing their learning and development in that factory. And then I went from there into the corporate world. So I left manufacturing and went to work for Arco in the corporate world. Found that I really, really missed the pace of manufacturing. You can't really beat production line. Once you've got that buzz in you and that pace of how fast a business actually works when it's a manufacturing stroke production business, you just crave it. So I was really looking to get back into a production-based company, which is how I ended up applying and working for Swift.
Did you carry on into education, or did you go straight into work?
I actually dropped out. So I went to school, did my GCSEs, and then went to Wyke College and did a full year of A-levels, and then just decided it wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah. So straight into work.
I went straight then into working. Well, Burger King was my part-time job, so it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do now? So then I ended up just working full-time there. Yeah, so I didn't go down the educational route at all. It's only been really through the experience of working which got me to the position that I'm in now as a learning and development manager, and then doing, like, at the time it was like NVQ qualifications through my other jobs to get me the learning and development level 3 qualification. And I did customer services level 2, business admin diploma, that kind of thing. So it was just really little qualifications throughout my career for the job that I was doing at the time.
So tell us a bit more about Swift.
Okay, so Swift was founded in 1964 by Ken Smith. And at that time in life, he was a sheet metal worker, and he was building greenhouses, sheds, and hiring out washing machines from a unit down on Headon Road. He then one day stopped by one of his friends, noticed there was actually building a caravan, and so together they started building the Caravans. And that's where the business started, down from a little unit down on Headon Road. Sadly, Ken Smith passed away, and so his son Peter took over the business. Peter took over the business with a real, strong competitive nature. So he went out there, he wanted to make sure that Swift was the biggest and the best in everything that we did. Started to buy out the smaller competition around us, but also his business plan was not just to produce Tourer caravans, because obviously in our industry as well, we get quite a lot of dips and then we'll raise again in another area. So what Peter wanted to do was make sure that we had enough that would keep us going and keep our workforce as well within the roles. So we actually produce Tourer caravans, we produce coach built motorhomes, but we produce holiday homes, lodges, pods, so your little glamping pods, and also panel vans and camper van conversions as well. And everything on this site, which absolutely amazed me when I first came for my interview here, is built by hand. So it is literally a production line of men and women who build the caravan or the motorhome or the holiday home from a sachet all the way up to a fully fledged caravan or holiday home, motorhome kind of thing. It's absolutely amazing when you walk around and see it.
I bet there's a range of jobs available within that as well for people.
Yeah, because as well at Swift, we're not just about building caravans. So we've also got our own manufacturing plant as well. So we manufacture all of the furniture that you see that goes in there. So we one of our apprentices actually on site is doing a qualification as a CNC nester. So I know that means probably absolutely nothing to yourself, but the CNC is one of our machines that cuts out like the furniture, like the flat pack furniture.
Yeah.
So his job is to program the machines to be able to cut out like that furniture. He'll put, I don't properly know what it is myself either, but he'll put like the dimensions and stuff in that needs to be done, and then that will then create the program. So that is a first. We've not had an apprentice go down that route before, but when he started, he was really interested in that, so that's where that we put him, and he's doing fantastically. We have like our own little GRP plant as well, so that's where we'll create like shower trays and like the plastic fronts and sides and backs of your caravans. All of those are molded on site here as well. So pretty much everything that you could think of is done here. Spray painting, we've got another apprentice who's now looking at going on to a spray painting qualification as well. So that's another thing that we do. So that's like all of the manufacturing engineering side of it, but then obviously we've got the offices. So we've got a range of jobs. Every job you could possibly imagine is here at Swift. So we've got accountants, we've got learning development, we've got HR, we've got design, we've got CAD design, we've got logistics on the site, we've got warehousing, storage, literally everything here on this site.
You seem so passionate about it as well. Like you can see it in the way you're talking about everything. How long have you been there for now?
I've been here just over 2 years now. I'm not lying when I say it's probably the best 2 years of my career so far. It has been a really, really great place to work.
Why? Out of curiosity.
Swift has got a really great culture. So we are actually at the minute, and I'm part of the group that's doing it, but we're going through a cultural change as well. So I've joined at a time when the business is wanting to change. So previously, some people listening to this who might have parents who have worked in the industry or who know people who have worked in the industry previously, the industry as a whole didn't have the best reputation, if you like. So the caravan industry would be quite cutthroat. If you don't make the grade kind of thing, you'd be out of the door. It was that kind of thing. But Swift have made a conscious decision that we're not going to be that business. And so I joined, I would say, probably as that decision was being made. And so I've been quite instrumental in putting in certain training programs and now being part of the cultural change team as well that is working on changing that culture. So Swift now has got core values in place. So it's something called EPIC, which you'll probably see in a lot of our social media posts, which is energy professionalism, innovation and community. We have put something called Swift Active in place as well. So we have regular outings, if you like, so regular activities. This weekend just gone, we all took part in the Yorkshire Three Peaks. Nice. So people get together, they'll do football tournaments, they'll do escape rooms, paintballing, golf, fishing. So there's always something that is there for the staff members to get involved with and take part in. So having all of that in place, it is just like one big family working at Swift. And again, I know people might say that about other places where they work, but it truly is. People will refer to each other as like Swifties or Team Swift, that kind of thing, because we really do feel like we are one big community. Because as well, if you imagine where we are on Dunswell Road, it is a 106-acre site, so it's a huge site. There is roughly 1,300 people working here, so we are like a little community. And so having like Swift Active in place and going through the cultural change and all of the work that we're doing like around the Swift charters and rewards and recognition and stuff like that is all just making it that little bit more, it's making it stand out from the competitors.
I think it's really important to have that connection with your colleagues, and like you say, when someone's doing a completely different job to you, it's nice to have that integration still. So that's great.
We have a health and wellbeing advisor on site as well. So, she's the one who actually does all of the Swift Active things. So her job role basically is to make sure that there is, if you like, really nice, great, fun stuff for the staff to be doing. She also does other stuff as well. Like she is quite involved with like mental health awareness and all of that kind of stuff as well. And I don't know, the occupational health side of it, but the fact that the business has actually appointed somebody who is in charge, if you like, of looking after the health and well-being of all of their employees just goes to show what a change this business is in comparison to some of the others in the industry.
So I guess for any students that might be listening that are maybe looking to pick either GCSEs and A levels, I appreciate that there's so many roles that are available for somewhere like Swift. But is there anything you think maybe with the manufacturing side that might be useful to have, or anything that you just think is a useful kind of GCSE or A level for a student to have?
Obviously English and maths, that's always going to be the big one for anybody moving forward. I know quite a lot of schools do engineering now, or CAD design, that kind of thing. So they would be good things as well for students who was looking at joining the industry, not just specifically Swift, but the industry. It'd be good for them to have those qualifications as well, if that's an option to them, or like some kind of design and technology qualification.
Yeah, and you've already mentioned apprenticeships. Obviously, you've mentioned some of your new apprenticeships. I'm guessing you're an advocate for that. But do you think that's the best way to get into this industry, is going via the apprenticeship route?
For me, I'm definitely going to say I'm a massive advocate for apprenticeships. That is what my team are driving through the business. That is our focus at the minute. So we're doing a big thing on succession planning at the minute, where we're trying to bring in younger people, team them up with older people within the business, and do that knowledge transfer as well. Because again, I suppose it's a bit of an industry thing, this, but we have a lot of long servers here. So we're talking to people who have been here 35 years, that kind of thing, who are nearing retirement now. So we're trying to match apprentices up with them. So I will always say the apprenticeship route is the best route into this business. We have a number of apprenticeships available. So we work with level 3 engineering fitter apprenticeships, and we also have now introduced a level 2 engineering operative apprenticeship as well. But then we've got other ones. So we've got like the CNC operator apprenticeship. We have just appointed a health and safety apprentice. So because of the success the engineering apprentices have had on site, the other departments are now looking at this, and they're a little bit like, oh, actually, we'd like an apprentice in our team. So we've just put a health and safety apprentice in play, and we've just employed and appointed a finance apprentice as well. Within my team, we've got a business administration apprentice. So for me, that is definitely the best way into the business, I would say.
How do any students listening, if they're interested, where would you advertise for your apprenticeships? Would they be not only on the website, would they be via the council sites as well?
Yeah, so we're on log on to move on.
Move on, yep.
Yeah, we're on that. Obviously you can just apply directly to Swift as well when we open up our books, if you like. We do a lot of work in the schools. So my team are quite often like at careers fairs, school assemblies. We do that quite a lot as well. We also do work experience, so the kids can actually come in, and they're not allowed on the lands, but we can get them in and we can put them in an engineering role or a quality role, that kind of thing, so they can get a feel for how the business runs. We tend to open our applications around about February time, so we try to align it with the National Apprenticeship Week. So normally what we do for that week is we open our doors to schools to bring the kids round, so they do like a little school trip around, and then we'll have like a little fun activity afterwards. And then if they're interested, this year I think we've got 1 or 2 who applied from that, just from looking around, then they're able to apply for the programme after that date normally.
Fab. What's the process of application for a student?
It's actually quite a tough process, really. Yeah, so we would open up our application process normally around about February, along to coincide with National Apprenticeship Week. We close it normally at the end of March, so normally the 31st of March is when it would be closed. We will then do a first stage interview on site. So we invite everybody onto site. They have a site tour, like a little informal, at that point, interview with us, and then they would go off. All of the ones we've seen we would then send to our college that we work with. Hull Training and Adult Education, I think they're called. We call them Hull Tech. Yeah. So Hull Training and Adult Education. So normally we send them all there then, because they do their diagnostic tests and let us know whether they're apprenticeship ready, if they're able to do a level 3, or if they're able to do a level 2. So they'll give us that information. Then we invite them back for a second stage interview. So it's like a 3-stage process, basically. The second stage interview is a full day on site where we do various workshops and activities and interviews, just so we can then get a feel for that person and whether or not they are somebody that would fit in with our core values. And then after that, they would receive their offer. Normally the offer, the uniform collection day and everything is all done through August for a September start.
It's a brilliant thing, even if you're unsuccessful, because I imagine it's competitive. That's a great thing for a student to just go through that process, just for like, the experience of that. So it's a good, I think it's really good that it's 3-stage kind of process. That's great.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I mean, we do look on it that way. We do think this is also really character building, because some of those kids are 15 when they come here for those interviews, because it's obviously before August, so they're going through their GCSEs. So it's mad when you see these young boys and girls coming onto site at 15 years old and holding their own a lot of the time in those interviews as well. It's really impressive.
With the application form that they fill in prior to that state, the 3-stage. Is it similar to a job application form? It's again good experience for them to be filling that out. So I'm assuming there's their work experience. Well, if they have work experience, personal statement, things like that.
Yeah, so we use a system called HireFull. So the advert, wherever they apply, they'll be rerouted through to HireFull, and that's where they then can either just upload a CV. Or they'll fill out the application form. I think sometimes they have to do both, fill out the application form and upload the CV. The cover letter is normally optional as well on that one. And again, we do bear in mind that a lot of the applicants coming to us are of school age, so they probably haven't got a cover letter. We also bear in mind that not everybody has got the support to be able to write a cover letter and an amazing CV as well. So we don't put a lot of onus on it.
Absolutely.
We use it more just to say, right, okay, well, this person's interested in the apprenticeship. Let's get them on to site to see what they're like in person.
So then what's the process just for a general job application? Is it similar? Not an apprenticeship route, but if you were applying for a set job there?
Yeah, so it's the same process. Again, we use HireFull for that. So if somebody applying for a job depending on the job, would probably then be expected to have a cover letter, a CV, and fill out the application form as well. If they was applying for a job here, a majority of our jobs are advertised on Indeed and LinkedIn as well. I think we do a lot of advertising on LinkedIn for jobs, and then also obviously on our own website as well. What we do have actually, so we don't employ anybody under the age of 18 unless they're an apprentice. So they can only join as an apprentice under the age of 18. But we do have another training program for people over the age of 18, which is called Step In. Okay. So this is where they'll come to us. They haven't necessarily got any kind of like industry experience, and we'll put them through a 6-week supported training program. So it's not so much where they're in the class learning how to use drivers, that kind of thing. They'll do a week of that, and then they'll go out onto the shop floor where there'll be elements of buddy training and support from the people around them to get them up to speed in those job roles. So we do offer that as well. But all being well, at the end of it, as long as, when I say all being well, as long as the job suits them, then they will be offered a role at the end of it. It is only ever when we've got job roles in place that we put Step In on. People who are leaving college, so college leavers, we do have a scholarship program as well. So that is where we would be looking for somebody who's got like a bit of an engineering background, who's interested in following that route. We quite often use it as a feeder for our own apprentices, so they'll then go on to do the scholarship within the business. We take on people from externally and internally onto that program, and that is where they'll go through and they'll do electrical engineering or a mechanical engineering degree, which is sponsored obviously by the business through the levy.
So top tips, or if there's anything else that you want to sort of mention.
I'd say top tips for getting into the industry. We are looking for people with high energy, who are reliable, who have got good timekeeping and good attendance. I think if you kind of hit all of those boxes, you've got the right attitude, and that's what we're looking for in somebody.
And that's good for getting into this sector in general, I guess.
In general, yeah, not just Swift, but the industry in general. That is what they would be looking for: dedication, high energy, reliable, timekeeping, and attendance.
Yeah, well, there'll be all the information at the bottom of the YouTube video and also on the podcast, so you can access Swift's website and all their social medias. That's been really valuable. Thank you so much for joining.
No worries. Thank you for having us.